my age, but my family and I wanted to thank everyone that came out tonight. It's a beautiful night to support the Leukemia Lymphoma Society's mission. This has really been something special tonight, and it's been something special for us since 2015. This lovely young cherub you see standing next to me is my daughter Camille, and she's the reason why we're here tonight. And I think it's important for everyone out there to know that my wife Laurie and I were not very much different than most of you. We both work full-time jobs. We try to manage a household with 2 teenagers, 2 dogs, 2 turtles, often prioritizing and reprioritizing our daily mission based on what cards life deals us that week. So in 2015, we weren't really so surprised that school started and Camille and Tyler, he's my 15-year-old son, still hadn't had their school physicals. So the Yom Kippur holiday is a holiday that my wife is a teacher, her school district is closed. And just like most of us that have a 2-working family, those days are a priority for us, holiday or not. That allows us to do all the things we can't get done on the weekend. So Laurie took Tyler and Camille to our pediatrician right down the street for their school physical. That was it. There was no other reason for us to go. There wasn't an illness, there wasn't a sniffle, there wasn't a fever, there wasn't a bruised knee. It was a school physical. At that school physical, Camille asked the nurse practitioner, "Why do you think I'm the smallest kid in 5th grade? I need to grow." And that nurse practitioner, who we've come to know over the years, said, "You know what? Why don't we get your thyroid checked? Why don't we send you over to LabCorp for a blood screen and check your thyroid, make sure everything's okay." So once again, it was really, in a true sense of the word, a miracle. It was a miracle that my wife had off that day. It was a miracle that Camille asked that question. It was a miracle that the nurse practitioner made the recommendation. And maybe the biggest miracle of all was that my wife at that moment didn't reprioritize and say, "We'll take care of it later," and shot right across the street to LabCorp. The next day, the very next day, about 9 o'clock in the morning, I got a telephone call. I was already in the office. I work about an hour away from home. And my wife called and she said, "Hey Joe, I want to let you know, I got a really weird feeling. The pediatrician just called and asked us if we wouldn't mind taking Camille down to AI because they think LabCorp made a mistake." And anybody that's married or in a relationship knows that sometimes unspoken feeling, there's that nuance between the words, and I could hear that in my wife's voice. So packed up, ran home, picked up Camille. And you can imagine what that was like. I don't know any 5th grader that likes to get blood work, especially when the reason they're getting blood work again the next day is because LabCorp messed up. So we pull into DuPont, and it was really the first, I guess, moment that I felt something actually might be bigger. I'm not an alarmist by nature, so I thought we were just going to go. We were already planning to go to out to lunch. We pull up to the receptionist, and I introduced myself as Joe Milnes, Camille's father, and the receptionist sort of looked past me and said, well, where's Camille? And here she is, where she still had her safety badge and her little lunchbox. She said, "I'm right here." And the first thing the receptionist said was, "You didn't eat lunch yet, did you, honey?" You know, so those 2 things were sort of odd to me. We didn't wait. And anybody that's ever been to AI DuPont and coming in through the emergency room knows that that's usually a little bit of a rarity too. They took us right back. There was actually somebody waiting in a room for us. As a parent, you can imagine what's going through our head. We meet with the wonderful people at AI. They do a real quick test. They tell us we have to do a real quick second test. The real quick second test happens, and now, remember I told you I was at my office at 9? It's about 11:30 in the morning right now. The second test comes back and they say, "Mr. and Mrs. Milnes, we need to do a little bit more of in-depth blood work with Camille." We said, "Oh, okay, sure." And then, I don't know how to explain this, but like the curtain opened and there was like a team of people waiting right there. And you know, you see things on TV and Hallmark specials about you know, that out-of-body sort of feeling and sort of that experience where you hear the Charlie Brown, you know, the wah-wah, people are talking to you but you can't register. There was a couple minutes when this all happened that found me in that spot. It was Dr. Robert Powell who actually was the first to come over to my wife and I, and he reached out his hand to shake my hand and introduce himself to me. And it was at that moment that I actually felt like that handshake was really the only thing keeping me tethered to this planet, because on his lab coat, I could read oncology. So, again, we're not any different than anybody here. That was September 24th, 2015. By 1:30 in the afternoon, Camille had already undergone a series of very invasive procedures. Some of you may be familiar with apheresis and you know, bone marrow sampling in the hip. It was a whirlwind. The staff at AI were wonderful. What was interesting through all of this was that as she was in the hospital for those next couple weeks, the outpouring of support from everywhere. People from the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, people from Child Life, people we didn't know, other parents. It was overwhelming. And what was interesting and made my wife Laurie and I so proud was that our then 10-year-old daughter recognized that. And all she talked about when we were worried about how she was doing was how she was going to help somebody else and how she was going to give back. That was September 24th, 2015. On, I think it was October 24th, we walked in our first Light the Night. Camille was with us. In that short time, we raised $9,000 as a friends and family team. Since that time, we've been here every year. We've raised more than $30,000. That's in big part to all these wonderful people. Camille's story this year has inspired several others. I would be remiss if I didn't thank the team, Jeffrey Myler's team at Best Day. My younger brother works for them. Camille's story inspired them so much, and as you heard earlier, that group raised $35,000 to help all of us. It's just an amazing, amazing accomplishment. And last year, our team shirt had a slogan on the back that said, "When I is replaced with we, even illness becomes wellness." And we need all of us. We need each and every one that's here tonight, each and every one who donated $1 or 1,000 to help us light the night and beat this dark disease. Thank you very much.